Start पकड़े.
So, good morning, everyone. This is Team B with Manjishta and Deepankar, and we'll be presenting on India and solar energy. We'll be going back and forth on the topics since there are only two of us, and we did our best. So, I'll hand it off to Deepankar for the next line.
So we start off with what is solar energy? Solar energy is that produced by the sun's light, photovoltaic energy, and its warmth, solar thermal, for generation of electricity or the production of heat, inexhaustible and renewable, since it comes from the sun. Solar energy is harnessed using panels and mirrors. Photovoltaic solar cells convert sunlight directly into electricity by the so-called photovoltaic effect, by which certain materials are able to absorb photons, light, and particles and liberate electrons, generating an electric current. On the other hand, solar thermal collectors use panels or mirrors to absorb and concentrate the sun's heat, transferring it to a fluid and conducting it through pipes. We use it in buildings and installations, and also for electricity production. So why is solar energy significant? It is inexhaustible and renews itself, non-contaminating and eco-friendly, provides heat and light, creates employment opportunities, helps fight against climate change.
National solar potential. So, solar energy potential can be defined as the physically available solar radiation on the Earth's surface, which can then be utilized to produce solar energy that is used in houses and industries to power devices. With about 300 clear and sunny days in a year, the calculated solar energy incidence on India's land area is about 5 quadrillion kilowatt hours per year, or about 5 EWH per year. The solar energy available in a single year exceeds the possible energy output out of all the fossil fuel energy reserves in India. The daily solar, the daily average solar power plant generation capacity in India is 0.30 kilowatt hour per per meter square of used land area, equivalent to 1,400 to 1,800 peak rated capacity operating hours in a year with available commercially proven technology. In June 2015, India began a 40 crore rupees project to measure solar radiation with a spatial resolution of 3 by 3 kilometers. This solar radiation measuring network provides the basis for the Indian Solar Radiation Atlas. 121 solar radiation resource assessment SRRA stations have been installed across India by the National Institute of Wind Energy, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy to create a database of solar energy potential. Data is collected and reported to the Center of Wind Energy and Technology (CWET). Among the parameters measured are global horizontal irradiance, direct normal irradiance, and diffuse horizontal irradiance.
Solar panel manufacturing in India. As of November 2021, manufacturing capacity of solar cells and solar modules in India was presentation closed. Right?
Oh, wait, I'll. Okay. Is it visible?
Yeah, yeah. Going to be. Hmm.
So as I was saying, as of November 2021, manufacturing capacity of solar cells and solar modules in India was 4.3 GW and 18 GW, respectively. Nearly 80% of solar panels' weight is flat glass. 100 to 150 tons of flat glass is used to manufacture a megawatt of solar panels. Low iron flat or float glass is used to manufacture a megawatt of solar panels. Low iron flat or Soda ash manufactured from common salt is an energy-intensive process unless it is extracted from soda flakes or glasswood cultivation in alkali soil. To increase installation of photovoltaic solar power plants, the production of flat glass and its raw materials must expand commensurately to eliminate supply constraints of future imports. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy (MNRE) India has issued a memorandum to ensure the quality of solar cells and solar modules. Compliance with the requisite specifications will grant manufacturers and their specific products an entry in the ALMN approved lists of models and manufacturers. Indian manufacturers are gradually enhancing the production capacity of monocrystalline silicon PERC cells to supply better performing and enduring solar cells to local market. For utility scale solar projects, top solar module suppliers in 2016 to 17 were Vari Energies Limited, Trenia Solar, JA Solar, Canadian Solar, Resin, and Harlow.
Solar photovoltaic growth forecasts. In August 2016, the forecast for solar photovoltaic installations was about 4.8 GW for the calendar year. About 2.8 GW was installed in the first 8 months of 2016, more than all 2015 solar installations. India's solar projects stood at about 21 GW with about 14 GW under construction and about 7 GW to be auctioned. The country's solar capacity reached 19.7 GW by the end of 2017, making it the third largest global solar market. In mid 2018, the Indian Power Minister R.K. Singh flagged a tender for a 100 GW solar plant at an event in Delhi. While discussing a 10 GW tender due to be issued in July that year, at the time, that was a world record. He also increased the government target for installed renewable energy by 2022 to 227 GW. These are some statistics about the solar power generation in India from the months of April 2019 to March 2020. As we can see, the production rate went down in June 2019, uh, where it came down from 4,327.42 to 3,918.13. But then, after a few months, at the beginning of 2020, in January, it rose again to 4,612.72, and it has been growing ever since.
Solar thermal power. The installed capacity of commercial solar thermal power plants in India is 227.5 megawatts with 50 megawatt in Andhra Pradesh, 177.5 megawatt in Rajasthan. The existing solar thermal power plants in India, which are generating costly intermittent power on a daily basis, can be converted into a storage type solar thermal plants to generate 3 to 4 times more baseload power at cheaper cost and not depend on government subsidies. In March 2020, SECI called for 5,000 megawatt tenders, which can be combination of solar PV with battery storage, solar thermal with thermal energy storage, and coal-based power to supply round-the-clock power at minimum 80% yearly availability.
Next, we'll be getting to know who are the decision makers for energy policies in India. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, also known as MNRE, is the nodal ministry of all government of India for the government of India for all matters relating to new and renewable energy, which includes solar energy. The broad aim of the ministry is to develop and deploy new and renewable energy for supplementing the energy requirements of the country. They provide direct and indirect tax benefits such as sales tax, excise duty exemptions, and custom duty exemptions. Policy infrastructure in the renewable energy sector in India took shape with the foundation of the Commission of Alternate Sources of Energy case in 1981 in the Department of Science and Technology. It became an independent Department of New Energy Sources DNES in 1982 and a full-fledged ministry in 1912.
How does the Indian government support solar energy? Both the central government as well as state nodal agencies offer multiple subsidy schemes to the people for installing rooftop PV systems. The customer can also sell the excess solar power bank to the grid, for which the customer would get a predetermined fare as decided by the local discount. Subsidies and other schemes offered by the government enables us to exploit renewable energy. Though the upfront cost of installation of a rooftop solar system is high, it is inexpensive in the long run. There are loans available at lower interest rates that overcome the problem of high upfront payment associated with solar projects. In addition to subsidies, the government also offers accelerated depreciation tax benefits to commercial and industrial customers. Companies can use this to reduce the tax burden in the first couple of years in the project. Although the subsidy scheme instills a sense of trust within potential clients, availing the subsidy is quite a task by itself. Getting the subsidy is a complex path that involves several government agencies such as the MNRE, IREDA, and local DISCOM. It takes about 6 months to a year for the paperwork to go through. Due to the uncertainty of receiving subsidies on time, it is better to consider solar using other financing options.
Next, we'll be going over some government initiatives and schemes to promote solar energy in India. There are several electricity policies in the last few years that have talked about the need and priority to promote renewable energy, mainly using solar power. The Electricity Act of 2003. This act provides a framework for all the overall growth of the electricity sector in India. It delicensed standalone generation and distribution system in rural areas. It gives provisions for preferential tariff and quotas for opting for renewable energy. Mandatory procurement of renewable energy for distribution licenses and facilitation of grid connectivity were incorporated. National Electricity Policy of 2005. This policy allows preferential tariffs for power reduced from renewable energy sources. It aimed to provide access to electricity to all and increase the minimum per capita availability to 1000 kWh per year by 2012. Tariff Policy 2006. It is the mechanism of the renewable purchase obligation to fix a minimum percentage of the purchase of energy consumption by the states from renewable energy sources. It stated that a minimum percentage of energy as specified by the regulatory commission is to be purchased from other sources. It also provides a special tariff for solar energy among other renewable energies. Integrated Energy Policy of 2006. This integrated policy recommended a particular focus on renewable energy development and set specific targets for capacity addition. National Rural Electrification Policies. This of 2006. This policy stressed upon the need for urgent electrification. The NREP 2006 policy aims at providing access to electricity to all households in the country and a minimum lifeline level of consumption of 1 unit per household per day. The policy also mentions that off grid solar photovoltaic solutions may be deployed where the supply of grid electricity is infeasible. The policy also mentions that off grid solar PV solutions may be deployed where the supply of grid electricity is not feasible. Semiconductor Policy of 2007. The semiconductor policy is meant to encourage semiconductor and ecosystem manufacturing, of which solar PV is also a component of. It offers a capital subsidy of 20% for manufacturing plants in special economic zones and 25% for manufacturing plants outside of special economic zones. The subsidy is, however, based on the condition that the net present value of the investment is at least $212 million USD. National Action Plan on Climate Change NAPCC of 2008. The Government of India initiated mission mode action plans for sustainable growth under NAPCC to address climate change. Its first mission was to intensify solar energy development. It not only set the RPO at 5% of the total grids purchase, but also a decade long 1% year on year RPO growth. Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission JNNSM. This policy, also known as the Solar Mission, is one of the 8 fundamental national missions which comprise of India's National Action Plan on Climate Change. There are 3 phases to this mission. Phase 1 from 2012, Phase 2 from 2013 to 17, and Phase 3 from 2017 to 22. Under Phase 1, the Rooftop Photovoltaic and Small Scale Generation Program (RPSSGP) aims to encourage the development of rooftop and ground mounted solar systems. The mission targets 20,000 MW of grid connected and off grid solar power capacity by 2022, with 2,000 MW as a share of off grid capacity. The objective of the JNNSM is to establish India as a global leader in solar energy by creating the policy conditions for its diffusion across the country as quickly as possible. Renewable Energy Certificates (RECs) of 2011. RECs is a market based mechanism. It was introduced to enhance renewable energy capacity. It levels the interstate divergences of renewable energy generation and the requirement of the obligated entities to meet their RPOs with a differentiated price for solar and non solar. Generation based incentives. GBIs. The introduction of GBI was for small grid solar projects below 33 kW. GBIs are for bridging the gap between a base tariff of INR 5.5 and the tariff put in place by the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission CERC as a fiscal incentive. This is a timeline of the said policies starting from 1982 when CASE was created and ending with the renewable energy certificates and GBIs.
Research and development funding and initiatives. By 11th five-year plan, 2007 to 2012, GOI proposes solar R&D funding of rupees 400 crore. The working group of R&D for the solar energy sector proposed an additional rupees 5,300 crore in research, demonstration and development for the 11th five-year plan. With the two largest topics being research on silicon production for PV manufacturing and research on light emitted diodes. A number of major government and industry R&D efforts aim to make solar thermal electricity and concentration photovoltaics a mainstream power source within the next decade. India aims to be a global leader in solar energy, and the mission envisages an installed solar generation capacity of 20,000 megawatts by 2020, 100,000 megawatts by 2030, and of 200,000 megawatts by 2050. The total expected funding from the government for the 30-year period will be to run rupees 85,000 crore to 105,000 crore. During 2010 to 19, the foreign capital invested in India on solar power projects was nearly 20.7 billion US dollars. R&D strategy. India is each pursuing an aggressive growth, solar energy growth strategy, creating a very important industry and setting up ambitious mid-term targets for the domestic market in the multi-GW scale. The CPV technology is presently moving from pilot facilities to commercial scale applications. For technology development, the R&D strategy would comprise 5 categories. Basic research having a long-term perspective for the development of innovative and new materials, processes, and applications. Applied research aimed for improving the existing processes, materials, and the technology for enhanced performance, durability, and cost competitiveness of the systems and devices. Technology validation and demonstration projects aimed at field evaluation for different configurations, including hybrids with conventional power systems for obtaining feedback on performance, operability, and cost. Development of R&D infrastructure in private-public partnership mode, and support for incubation and startups, a three-tier R&D institutional framework, including a higher-level research council, national center of excellence, and network of centers of excellence.
Indian initiative of International Solar Alliance. In January 2016, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Francois Hollande laid the foundation stone for the headquarters of the International Solar Alliance, also known as the ISA, in Gwalpahari, Gurugram. The ISA will focus on promoting and developing solar energy and solar projects for countries lying wholly or partially between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The alliance of over 120 countries was announced at the Paris COP21 Climate Summit. The International Solar Alliance ISA also proposed also is also headquartered in India. India has also put forward the concept of one sun, one world, one grid and World Solar Bank to harness abundant solar power on a global scale.
Challenges and targets. India, faced with twin challenges on the energy and environmental front, has no option but to work towards increasing the role of renewable energy in the future energy systems. New project developers for 100 megawatt capacity of grid below 33 kilowatt, connected solar projects of 100 kilowatt to 2 megawatt capacities each have also been selected. It is expected that 150 to 200 megawatts of solar power will be installed in the country by December 2011. To create an enabling policy framework for the deployment of 20,000 megawatts of solar power by 2022. To create favorable conditions for solar manufacturing capability, particularly solar thermal for indigenous production and market leadership. To promote programs for off-grid applications reaching 1,000 megawatts by 2017 and 2,000 megawatts by 2022. To achieve 50 million M2 thermal collected area by 2017 and 20 million by 2022. To deploy 20 million solar lighting systems for rural areas by 2022. JNNSM mission has set a target of 1,000 megawatts by 2017, reaching million households. To meet this target, the mission plans to provide solar lighting systems to over 10,000 villages and hamlets, and also to set up alone rural solar power plants. In special categories, states and areas such as Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the Ladakh region of Jammu and Kashmir.
These are few of the achievements that I found on the MNRE website. So solar capacity increased in the last 7 years from around 2.6 gigawatt to more than 46 gigawatt. World's largest renewable energy expansion program was completed by the government of 175 gigawatt till 2022. Renewable energy has a share of 26.53% in the total installed generation capacity in the country. India is now at fourth global position for overall installed renewable energy capacity. Solar power tariff was reduced by more than 75% using the plug and play model. About 19 times higher solar pumps were installed between 2014 and 19, and 2.5 lakh versus up to 2014 to 11, 26. Renewable energy installed capacity increased by 286% in last 7.5 years. The solar park scheme doubled from 20 gigawatts to 40 gigawatts. The record the record low solar tariff rupees 1.99 unit was achieved. Highest ever wind capacity addition of 5.5 gigawatts in 2016 to 2017 was also achieved. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has stated that a further 36.03 gigawatts as of January 31st, 2021 of solar projects are under various stages of implementation and 23.87 gigawatts are in the tendering process. India has established nearly 42 solar parks to make land available to the promoters of solar plants. In addition to its large scale grid connected solar photovoltaic initiative, India is developing off grid solar power for local energy needs. Solar products have increasingly helped to meet rural needs. By the end of 2015, just under 1 million solar lanterns were sold in the country, reducing the need for kerosene. In the same year, 1,18,700 solar home lighting systems were installed, and 46,655 solar street lighting installations were provided under a national program. Just over 14 lakh solar cookers were distributed in India. The state government of Andhra Pradesh is developing a solar farm cluster called Solar City on a 10,000-acre land at Kadiri in Anantapur district. Solar City is expected to attract worth rupees 3,000 crores in the uh, first phase. Four firms, Sunborn, Lance Solar, AES Solar, and Titan Energy, have signed a memorandum of understanding with the state to set up their units there. These companies will be the anchor units in Solar City and have a combined capacity of 2,000 megawatts. Karnataka Power Corporation Limited has implemented two projects, each of 3 MWP capacity. These solar plants, located in Kola and Chikadi districts, have been implemented under the Arunodaya scheme for ensuring assured power supply to rural areas, especially irrigation pump sets. These photovoltaic power plants are intended as tail end support powering of irrigation pumps. Next, we move on to how PFACts apply in solar energy and solar policies regarding it.
The first P fact, politically driven. Since the government will benefit from increase in usage of solar energy, cost effective and achieving SDG 7, policies can be said to be politically driven. Then there is F, but that is financially viable. Since solar energy is cheaper in the long run, using solar power instead of electricity is also financially viable, especially in a country like India where there is much solar potential. Then there is administratively doable. Since the policies were able to be implemented in a beneficial way, even the incentivized ones, they were administratively doable. Then there's culturally associated. Attempts are being made to bring solar energy to rural areas, which will help preserve the culture there. Then technology driven. Solar energy depends on good technology, so the policies are technology driven. Technology of PV cells is often being improved for better efficiency. Socially desirable. Achieving SDG 7 clean energy is something that will benefit society and is thus desirable for it, which solar energy is helping to do.
And that concludes our presentation for Team B. I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah, good to know the team B presentation. Request team B to initiate their presentation.
So I will be presenting accordingly and will be followed up by my teammates. Should I start?
Yeah,
So, sir, the policy given to us was solar energy in India. So, the social uh, background about solar energy. Solar energy is the most abundant of all energy resources that can be harnessed in cloudy weather. The rate at which solar energy is intercepted by Earth is about 10,000 times greater than the rate at which humankind consume energy. Solar technologies can be deliver heat, cooling, natural lighting, electricity, and fuel for a host of applications. Solar technologies convert sunlight into electrical energy either through photovoltaic panels or through mirrors or concentrate solar radiation. So that means that we can convert heat energy into different what we call the products like induction, uh, air condition. We can use it accordingly. Although not all countries are equal endowed in solar energy, a significant contribution to the energy mix from direct solar energy is possible for every country. The manufacturing cost of a solar panel has been implemented dramatically in the last decade, making them not only affordable but the cheapest form of electricity. Solar panels have a lifespan of roughly 30 years, and came in the variety of shades depending on the type of material used in manufacturing. So the nodal ministry used, uh, which is responsible for solar energy. So it is the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. It is the nodal ministry of the government of India for all matters relating to new and renewable energy. The broad aim of the ministry is to develop and deploy new and renewable energy to supplement the energy requirements of the country. The sudden increase uh, oil of price oil uncertainty associated with its supply and the adverse impact on the balance of payment position led to establish of the Commission of Additional Source of Energy case in the Department of Science and Technology in March 1981. The commission was charged with the responsibility of formulating policies and implementation programs for development of new and renewable energy, apart from coordinating and identifying R&D in the sector. In 1982, a department, that is Department of Non-Conventional Energy Sources, DNES, that incorporate case, was created in then Ministry of Energy. In 1992, DNES became the Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Source in MNES. In October 2006, the ministry was rechanged as the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, MNRE. So this is the website, the government website, which is it is a portal for government website for energy, uh, renewable energy. Now I will talk about on the mission and the vision of the ministry. Energy security, development and deployment of alternative fuel like hydrogen, biofuel, and synthetic fuels, and their applications to contribute bridging the gap between the domestic oil supply and demand, lesser dependency on oil imports, energy availability and access, supplement energy needs of cooking, heating, motive power, and captive generalization in rural, urban, industrial, and commercial sectors. Energy affordability, cost competitive, convenient, safe, affordable, and reliable energy supply option. Energy equity, per capita energy consumption at par with the global average level by 2050 through the sustainable and diverse mixed fuel. The vision of the ministry to develop the new and renewable energy technologies, processes, material components, subsystems, products, and services at par with international specification, standard, and performance parameter in order to make the country a net foreign exchange earner in the sector and deploy such indigenous, developed, and or manufactured product and services. So these are the allocation of the ministry of the business. Uh, the new the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and MNRE is a scientific ministry which has been assigned the following subject business under the allocation rules: research and development of biogas and program relating to biogas unit, commission of additional source of energy case. Solar energy includes solar photovoltaic device and their development, production, and application. Program relating to improve Chulas and research and development thereof. Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency (IREDA), research and development of the non-conventional renewable source of energy and program relating to thereto. Integrated Rural Energy Program (IREP). Now the functions of the ministry. Uh, faci- Facilitated research, design, development, manufacture, and deployment of renewable energy system device for transportation, portable, and stationary application in rural, urban, and commercial sector through technology mapping and benchmarking. Identify, research, design, development, and manufacture thrust areas and facilitate the same. appropriate international level quality assurance, accreditation, and facilitate industry in obtaining the same. Resource survey, assessment, mapping, and dissemination, deployment strategy for various indigenously developed and manufactured new and renewable energy products and services. Provision for cost competitive new and renewable energy supply option. So these are the ministry officials that they are responsible. Mr. Shri Rajkumar Singh is the Honorable Minister for Power, New and Renewable Energy. The Sir Bhagat Kumba is the Minister for States, and Sir the Secretary is Shri Indu Shekhar Chaturvedi. So now I will pass on to Adya. Adya Gupta.
Thank you, Suhaib. Now let us talk about an initiative taken by the Indian government for solar energy. National Solar Mission. National Institute of Solar Energy has assessed the country's solar potential of about 748 gigawatt, assuming 3% of the wasteland area to be covered by solar PV modules. Solar energy has taken a central place in India's National Action Plan on Climate Change, with National Solar Mission as one of the key missions. National Solar Mission was launched on 11th January 2010. National Solar Mission is a major initiative of the Government of India with active participation from states to promote ecological sustainable growth while addressing India's energy security challenges. It will also constitute a major contribution by India to the global effort to meet the challenges of climate change. So it will not only be restricted to India, it will also contribute to the global effort. The mission's objective is to establish India as a global leader in solar energy by creating the policy conditions for solar technology diffusion across the country as quickly as possible. It targets installing 100 gigawatt grid connected solar power plants by the year 2022. This is this is line with India's intended nationally determined contributions target to achieve about 40% cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy resources and to reduce the emission intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35% from 2005 level by 2030. Next slide, please. Now let us talk about the solar schemes in India. First, development of solar parks and ultra mega solar power projects. Solar power projects can be set up anywhere in the country. However, the scattering of solar power projects leads to higher project cost per megawatt and higher transmission losses. Individual projects of smaller capacity incur significant expenses in site development, drawing separate transmission lines to nearest substation, procuring water, and in creation of other necessary infrastructure. It also takes a long time for project developers to acquire land, get change of land use, and various permissions, etc., which delays the project. To overcome these challenges, the scheme for development of solar parks and ultra mega solar power projects was rolled out in December 2014 with an objective to facilitate the solar project developers to set up projects in a plug and play model. Next slide, please. The second scheme is scheme for setting up over 5,000 megawatt grid connected SPV power projects under 4th of Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. One of the main thrusts of this batch is to further encourage competitiveness through scaling up of project sizes and introduction of efficient and transparent e-bidding and e-auctioning processes. The main objectives of the scheme are the scaling up of sizes of projects, thereby leading to economies of scale, and to supplement grid power and spread out solar power projects throughout the country, thereby reducing transmission costs and losses, provide long-term visibility and roadmap for solar power development, enabling creation of India as manufacturing hub in the solar PV, to create good business model and systems for various state governments and discoms to take forward, to facilitate energy security and fulfillment of renewable purchase obligation requirement of the obligated entities. Next slide. The third scheme is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Mahabhiyan, which is also known as PM Kusum. The scheme aims to add solar and other renewable capacity of 25,750 megawatts by 2022, with total central financial support of rupees 34,422 crore, including service charges to the implementing agencies. The scheme consists of three components. First component is component A with 10,000 megawatt of decentralized ground-mounted grid-connected renewable power plants of individual plant size up to 2 megawatt. The second component is component B, installation of 17.50 lakh stand-alone solar-powered agriculture pumps of individual pump capacity up to 7.5 horsepower, and a third component is component C, which is solarization of 10 lakh grid connected agriculture pumps of individual pump capacity up to 7.5 horsepower. The fourth scheme is scheme on scale up of access to clean energy for rural productive uses. This scheme aims to enhance the use of reliable and affordable renewable energy for rural productive uses in an unserved and underserved areas in three states, mainly Assam, Madhya Pradesh, and Odisha, for strengthening rural livelihoods, improving income generation, and reduce use of fossil fuels. Next slide, please. The government policies and regulations for solar energy in India. In order to achieve the National Solar Mission's target, Government of India have launched various schemes to encourage generation of solar power in the country, like Solar Power Scheme, VGF schemes, CPSU scheme, Defense scheme, uh, Canal Bank and Canal Top scheme, bundling scheme, grid connected solar rooftop schemes, etc. Various policy measures undertaken included declaration of trajectory for renewable purchase obligation, that is RPO, including solar waiver of interstate transmission system charges and losses for interstate sale of solar and wind power for projects to be commissioned up to March 2022. Must run status guidelines for procurement of solar power through tariff-based competitive bidding process, standards for development of solar photovoltaic systems and devices, provision of rooftop solar and guidelines for development of smart cities, amendment in building bylaws for mandatory provision of rooftop solar for new construction or higher floor area ratio, infrastructure status for solar projects, raising tax-free solar bonds, providing long tenor loans from multilateral agencies, etc. Next slide, please. Now, let's talk about the government policies and regulations for solar energy. The first Indian government policy is Electricity Act 2003. This act provides a framework for the overall growth of the electricity sector in India. It gives provision for preferential tariffs and quotas for opting for renewable energy, mandatory procurement of renewable energy for distribution licenses, and facilitation of grid connectivity were incorporated. The second policy is National Electricity Policy 2005. This policy allows preferential tariffs for power produced from renewable energy sources. It aimed to provide access to electricity to all and increase the minimum per capita availability to 1,000 kilowatt per year by 2012. The third government policy is the Tariff Policy 2006. It is the mechanism of the Renewable Purchase Obligation, that is the RPO, to fix a minimum percentage of the purchase of energy consumption by the states from renewable energy sources. It also provides a special tariff for solar energy among other renewable energy. Another policy is Joint Liability Group JLG for off-grid installations. By synthesizing business and social potential, a small group of 4 to 10 local entrepreneurs as JLG help avail loans for non-farming activities that may be applicable for microgrid installations. Now I would like to call my co-speaker Aryan to continue with the presentation.
Hello everyone, I'm Aryan and I will be continuing with the presentation. Now, talking about India's achievement in solar energy, in 2019, India achieved fifth global position in solar power deployment by surpassing Italy. Solar power capacity increased more than 11 times in the between 2014 to 2019 from 2.6 gigawatts in March 2014 to 30 gigawatts in July 2019. Uh, as of latest post by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, India's installed new renewable energy capacity is the fourth largest in the world. A total of 150.54 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity has been installed in the country as on 30th November 2021. Further, a total of 219,817 million units of electricity have been generated from various renewable energy sources during the year 2021 to 2022. Most of renewable energy projects in the country are being set up by private sector developers selected through transparent bidding. The government has issued standard bidding guidelines to enable distribution licenses to produce power at competitive rates in a cost-effective manner. To protect the interest of small developers, as per central government guidelines, states and union territories can procure power from solar projects and wind projects not covered under the competitive bidding guidelines through feed-in tariff to be determined by the respective state electricity regulatory commission. Now, moving on, uh, let's talk about Indian states' achievements in solar energy. Talking about Kurnool Solar Park in Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is one of the leading Indian states in solar energy, neck and neck with Telangana, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Tamil Nadu. The NRDC India team had a site visit to the largest solar park in the world in the district of Kurnool in the South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. Kurnool is home to the 1000 megawatt solar park, the largest single location operational solar park in the world. Ambitious solar strategy puts Jharkhand on track for a secure clean energy future. Jharkhand Renewable Energy Development Agency unveiled the Jharkhand State Solar Policy 2022 on July 5, 2022, outlining its vision to become solar energy closer to the local communities, businesses, and industries. The policy aims to achieve 4,000 megawatt of solar power capacity across a variety of applications by 2027. By setting clear targets for mini grids, productive use applications, and solar irrigation, the government has set a clear mandate, and this will help stabilize a more conductive environment for this sector. Talking about the Rama Ramakalmendu, set to become this become the solar wind energy hub. Ampara near Ramakindu is set to become the state's first solar power cum wind energy hub once a solar power park being set up by Enert is completed. The first phase of the Erskine, uh, Erskine Solar Power Park was completed at a cost of 12 crore rupees. In the first phase, 3,042 solar panels with capacity of 325 watts to generate 13 lakh units have been installed on 4 acres. In the next phase, wind farm units will be set up and the work on the power saving system will be completed in the third phase. The indigenously developed grid tie inverter facility will be used at solar park, says Ennard District Engineer Nathan Thomas, adding that this will be the first major solar cum wind energy park in the state. The park will be open to engineering students to learn indigenously developed technologies, uh, and it has 147 uh, at the Ramakindu, and the prospects of power generation from the wind and solar is immense. A remote weather monitoring station attached to the solar park has already started functioning. It provides timely information on wind, rain, and atmospheric pressure. The data from the center also helps in diversing disaster management plans in addition to providing weather information to farmers. Now, talking about International Solar Alliance of India, Paris Declaration on the International Solar Alliance of 30th November 2015. The launch of the International Solar Alliance was announced by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the former Honorable President of France, Mr. Francois Hollande, on 30th November 2015. At the 21st session of United Nations Climate Change Conference of the Paris parties in Paris, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon attended the launch, alongside the heads of about 120 nations who affirmed their participation in the alliance to dedicate efforts for promotion of solar energy. The ISA strives to develop and deploy cost-effective and transformational energy solutions powered by the sun to help member countries develop low carbon growth trajectories, with particular focus on delivering impact in countries categorized as least developed countries and the small island developing states. Being a global platform, ISA's partnership with multilateral development banks, development financial institutions, private and public sector organizations, civil society, and other international institutions is key to delivering the change it seeks to see in the world going ahead. The ISA is guided by its Towards Thousand strategy, which aims to mobilize 1,000 billion US dollars of investments in solar energy solutions by 2030, while delivering energy access to 1,000 million people using clean energy solutions and resulting in installation of 1,000 gigawatts of solar energy capacity. This would help migrate global solar emissions to the tune of 1,000 million tons of carbon dioxide every year. For meeting these goals, the ISA takes a pragmatic approach. Currently, the ISA has 9 comprehensive programs, each focusing on a distinct application that could help scale deployment of solar energy solutions. Activities under the program focus on 4 priority areas: analytics and advocacy, capacity building, programmatic support, and readiness and enabling activities that help create a favorable environment for solar energy investments to take root in the country. Now let's see India's target for solar energy, as the target is very important when we set up a goal. Government has a target of increasing non-fossil power capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030 and provide half of its electricity supply. India will need 223 billion dollars of investment to meet its goal of wind and solar capacity installations by 2030, according to a new report by research company Bloomberg NEF. The government has set an ambitious target of achieving 40% cumulative electric power through renewable energy sources by 2030 and an installation of 175 gigawatts of renewable energy source by 2022. To achieve this, the government has enacted a number of measures and is playing an active role in promoting them. These include generation-based incentives, capital and interest subsidies, while viability gap funding, concessional finance, and fiscal incentives. Major installation programs for solar parks, solar rooftop systems, and solar pumps, among others, have also been launched in the past 2 years. Now, I would like to call Zohaib to carry on with the presentation.
So now I would like to conclude the presentation. Solar energy is an immense source of directly used usable energy, unlimitedly creates other energy resource, biomass, wind, hydropower, and wave energy. Most of the Earth's surface receives sufficient solar energy to permit low-grade heating of water and building, although there are large variations with latitude and season. At low latitude, simple mirror device can concentrate solar energy sufficiently for cooking and even for driving steam turbines. Energy of light shifts electron in some semiconducting materials. This photovoltaic effect is capable of large-scale electricity generation. However, low present efficiency of solar PV cell demands large area of supply electricity demand. Direct use of solar energy is only renewable means capable of ultimately supplanting current global energy supply from non-renewable source, but an expense of a land area at least half million kilometers square. Thank you, sir. I think it's done from our side. Sir, your voice is not audible.
Okay, thanks to both the teams, Team D and Team C. Uh, of course, B and D, both were good. Uh, I need to take on decision and still need to go for it. Uh, who is the best one to decide on, because we have to go for a finals. One thing is there, uh, the same topic is been given to you, and you have the same resources. Some it's very much available at open platform. But the way you are guys are going to present, it totally depends upon that. Uh, Only thing, when I was discussing about during our offline classes uh, in the public policy matrix, we have discussed about market demand. What is the market to uh, demand analysis is there, and what is the cost to benefit analysis is there. If you guys have taken that into consideration once we are talking about solar energy or solar panels or wind energy or renewable energy. So these analysis, that is cost to benefit analysis, is more beneficial to say on. Um, Taking to team be first. Uh, Once they were actually reading out all the policies, all the programs of the government. Whenever you read any of the programs of the government, so many programs are there in listed programs are there. Just read on all those and say the latest or talk about the latest programs, two or three latest programs. PFACs team we have taken the PFACs, but they didn't link this. See, just taking a making a slide of the PFAC will not do. You need to link that particular PFAC uh, uh, the work or uh, with the format of the that particular ministry or that particular topic. For both the teams, one thing, team D. Team D was team D have taken certain points, certain good points. That is micro startups in kind of JLG. They have taken map of India, which state, where we are actually doing, what we are doing. They have taken consideration on this. We are talking about the solar program or solar energy. So it is mandatory to talk about the solar mission and also the International Solar Alliance, which India has actually taken an initiative. India came forward for making an alliance, a global alliance where so many countries are there. This is being taken by Team D, and mm, but one thing is there, both the team for both the teams, Team B and Team D also, uh, for target set by the government for either the non-renewable energy or for the solar energy. You guys can very well present it in time of making an graphical analysis, because more I can see on the board which you have presented is copy and paste. But just if you guys have taken some effort to present it in kind of analysis or in kind of a graphical presentation, that would be more, that would look more better actually, much better. If we get rest, both the teams are good. Whenever we are talking about these type of solar energy or non-renewable energy, we need to take uh, the consideration for ecological demand. We need to take a consideration for personal and market demand, and then we need to analyze it. How much we have actually done it? How much we have saved because of this, and what exactly in terms of money this is going to do. If you guys have presented this thing, then the learning on PP, that is learning on market to uh, market to public demand or cost to benefit analysis. If you guys have mentioned this thing also in your presentations, I was looking forward for that, but more or less both the presentations are uh, at par. We will be analyzing it and sharing it to you, the details or the result of today's event. Thank you to all. Um, Request all, uh, keep preparing those four teams for the final round. That is for the last two topics. Okay. Anyone, anyone would like to say here anything, or shall I conclude for the day? Okay, so I'm going to close for the day. Thank you. Thank you to all.